Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As you just heard, my name is Ben Hunter. And today, I'm going to talk to you about the power and the importance of communication. It's a bit ironic that someone who speaks Arabic as badly as me is talking to you about communication. But having been in Sudan for over 3 months, I've learned a lot about the value of mutual understanding. All over the world, but especially here in Sudan, the ability for people to communicate across borders, languages, and cultures is more crucial than ever before. As our world becomes increasingly connected, different communities require the skills of communication in order to interact, share, and collaborate. As a British man born in London, living in Omdurman, and teaching English here at Alahlia University, I've experienced this myself. Communication involves language, of course, but also culture, history, belief, and memory. And it's on this idea of cultural exchange which I'm going to focus today. It's an honour to teach students here at this university, and it's an honour to have the chance to talk to you today about this incredibly important topic. When I first told my friends and family that I was coming here to Sudan, they were worried. In Europe, Sudan is often seen as a place of violence or insecurity, as a space of suffering. The media doesn't report on Sudan very much, but when they do, they tend to focus on the negatives. Of course, the recent revolution might be an exception to this rule, and there are lots of excellent journalists, especially those of Sudanese descent. But even then, many saw it as simply the inevitable continuation of the unrest of previous decades, as something natural to the social fabric of this part of the world. In 2010, Richard Cockett, the former Africa editor for The Economist, wrote that Sudan is one of the greatest political and humanitarian disasters of our age. Whilst no one can deny the formidable problems this country has faced, they've become the only thing that people see in Sudan. The impact has been to create a perception that there is nothing to be enjoyed, nothing to be celebrated. Mr. Cockett himself wrote, just a few pages later, that ordinary Sudanese remain the friendliest and most hospitable people on the continent. With a character of courtesy, generosity, and kindness. No one can deny this either. If you gave me £1 for every time someone in this country paid for my cup of coffee, or paid for my bus fare, when they have very little themselves, purely because I'm a guest here. Even just today, before this talk, I stepped in some mud on my way here, so I went to get my shoes shined just over there in the university, and the guy refused to take any money from me. because I sat down next to him and we spoke about where each other were from and who we were. There is therefore a contradiction, a contrast between the way Sudan and Sudanese society is represented in international media and the true nature of its people when you come here. Of course, this problem doesn't just apply to Sudan. Africa and the Middle East are consistently portrayed in this manner as a problem to be fixed with humanitarian aid, as a place to be controlled beyond the border. Even when the intentions are good, as they often are, the result is the same. An ignorance of the good, an emphasis on the bad, the creation of a threat, and the erosion of empathy. What being in Sudan has taught me is the importance of understanding other cultures, both to shake off negative misperceptions, but also to enrich and improve your own life. I recently had the chance to take a trip to Alahlia with a group of Darfuri students from this university. On our way there, we stopped off at a market to buy some food. And I was rather surprised to find a live goat strapped to the top of the bus. In England, we normally make sandwiches, but my friends that day were a lot better prepared. Not only did I learn how to cook a goat, I had the chance to listen to them as they spoke about their experiences moving across Sudan to university. This was a powerful thing to hear because it gave me an insight into life here in Sudan, into processes of urbanization and change, but also tradition and custom. The differences between their experiences at university and my own were striking. These are differences in lived reality across the world that we all know exist. But it's only when you see them and hear them and feel them that they become real. However, my trip also taught me about the similarities, because everyone can understand the hardship of moving away from your family to an unfamiliar place. Becoming immersed in a new environment informs on not only the differences, but the similarities as well. Those parts of all our lives that are the same no matter where you come from. Sometimes the everyday struggles are just as meaningful as those you hear about on the news. Empathy is the natural result of greater cultural understanding, and it's sorely needed both within attitudes towards Sudan and within Sudan itself. But if empathy requires communication, communication requires language. Everyone in this room can agree that improving language skills on both sides of the barrier is an essential step towards progress for all people. In Britain, we're famous for only speaking English, but we also come from a country which, by virtue of its past, has spread its language across every country and every sector. I came here to learn Arabic, but also to teach English. a language which is all but necessary if you wish to partake in that global connectivity I mentioned at the start of this speech. To bolster cultural exchange and move minds across borders, it's not just necessary for the world to understand Sudan, but for Sudan to understand the world. Young people here in Sudan understand this better than anyone else. The day before our first class together, one of my students approached me and told me how grateful he was to be taught by a native English speaker. We spoke about his struggles finishing school and getting into university, but also about how the lack of native English teachers here in Sudan means that students can't properly develop the crucial skills of speaking and listening. Because of this, a lot of my students don't have confidence in their own speaking ability. They haven't had the chance to prove to themselves that they can do it. Based on my own experiences, there needs to be an increase in English-speaking opportunities for people here in Sudan if they are going to fulfill their obvious English potential. Countries like my own, Britain, have to be part of that solution. An expansion of programs like the British Council and a more systematic approach to scholarships are only two examples of ways which would allow more Sudanese to study English and other languages abroad. The best way for anyone to learn any language, and an opportunity once afforded to previous generations of Sudanese. As our world becomes more complex and more globalized, our ability to communicate will help define the rest of the century. We've seen what can happen when we fail. For me, living in Sudan is a constant lesson in communication. It's helped me shake off the misplaced distrust in this region back at home. It's helped me understand new cultures by learning about the differences and celebrating the similarities. It's helped me improve my own language skills, whilst giving me a chance to help others improve theirs. And it's confirmed my belief that a lot more needs to be done to ensure others have access to the same language opportunities that I've been so lucky to have. We're at our best when we share, empathise and collaborate. And communication is the key to all of that. It's been a privilege to talk to you today. Thank you very much for listening.